behind the curtain has the pictures that we're going to put up. So, yes, our guest is going to be Luke Wypler, who is dear to our hearts, and we've been talking about him for quite a while. There's the man right
Hey,
now.
how are you guys?
How are you, buddy?
Good.
Hi,
Thanks for having
Luke.
me on again.
Thanks for joining the show. And we were just mentioning you were our first guest a couple years back when you were a standout left tackle at St. Joe's. So
Yeah, no, it's came full circle now.
it sure has. It's really great to have you on. And
No,
I
thank you
just
for
want to
having me.
let's bring up something right now. It's been kind of a whirlwind for you in the past 4 years. You've gone from playing from one of the powerhouse teams in high school football, and then you migrated over to Ohio State. That's Luke on the right, young Luke, as we would call him now,
Yeah, it's
right?
really young. Wow.
Yeah.
Those guys, yeah.
Those are your buddies, right?
So in 4 years, you've gone from a high school standout team to Ohio State, and in 3 months, you're going to be joining the ranks of the best football players in the world. How do you reconcile all this?
I don't think it's hit me yet, honestly. I think part of me kind of still feels like it's a little bit of a fever dream, and it's super exciting at the same time. And I think that my whole life I kind of always knew that I would always have this opportunity, and now it's just about capitalizing on it. So for me, it's just staying prepared and staying ready for when I get my opportunity, wherever it may be.
That's great. And Luke, I wanted to ask you because, when you came out of St. Joe's, you were a highly recruited, football player. And how did it get down to Ohio State? How did you know Ohio State was the place for Luke Whippler?
Yeah, I
Wasn't
think
it
at
between
the
Stanford and
time.
Ohio State for you?
Say that again.
Wasn't it between like Stanford and Ohio State for you?
Correct, it was. And for me, actually, Stanford was the place I thought I was going to go, and it was kind of last minute. I decided on Ohio State, and for me, something that coming from St. Joe's, the high school I played at, the winning culture that we had, and the things that were embedded on us about winning, and the pressures of that is something I really enjoyed. And for me, when I was going to find a college, I wanted something that was very similar to that. And for me, Ohio State was the most. I mean, the winning culture that at the time Urban Meyer created there, and the demand to win. It wasn't like, oh, it's all right, maybe we'll win this one. It was you woke up every morning, you put your feet on the ground on Saturday morning, and you knew you were winning the game. There wasn't even a doubt in your mind.
Yeah.
And that's something for me that I craved and I love. So for me, it was an easy pick to attend Ohio State.
Well, it certainly worked out for you. And,
Yeah, to say the least.
yeah. But listen, I wanted to ask really quick about, the transition from high school. You were a left tackle for most of your career, and making that transition to being the center, which is basically right, the general of the offensive line. And how did
Correct.
how did you make that transition? And
Yeah, for me, I mean, it was definitely a transition. I think anytime you go from switching any position, any sport, it takes a little to get used to. Like everybody says, practice makes perfect. So at the end of the day, you had your bumps and bruises that you had to endure during it, and it was it was difficult the first year or so, and then like anything, after enough times, enough reps of doing something, you get better at it. And it wasn't until probably my second year, my second spring ball, that it kind of came full circle, and I started understanding all the nuances of it, and I was able to start playing faster. So there was a lot less thinking, and snapping got more natural, and all those little things that most people don't think about when you're playing center unless you've done it before. And so for me, it was just understanding all those little things. And like you said, also being the commander out there, you have to make sure that all five guys, the running back and quarterback, know exactly what you're seeing, and you all have to be on the same page. So again, it's almost like a telepathic relationship that you have to have with those guys, especially the guys up front. You have to always be speaking the same language all the time.
that's awesome.
So let me ask you a question. I mean, obviously at Ohio State, you played in the top venues, and national championship contender and all that. Was there a particular place or venue or a team that you were just like this? I mean, this is so cool.
Yeah, I think I kind of had that like moment this past season playing in the college football playoff. I think that's something at least growing up since it became a thing when I was a teenager, watching like the CFP playoffs, and it was kind of always a dream. Like you're always sometimes watching it like New Year's night before the ball drops, hanging out with your buddies, and walking out to the field, seeing like all the logos, seeing it on the TV screen at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It was a beautiful stadium, and it was kind of like one of those, wow, like this is kind of really happening moments.
Yeah.
And, that was really exciting. And the game obviously didn't go our way, but our guys fought to the very last whistle. So at the end of the day,
And then I want to ask you a question real quick. The Michigan-Ohio State rivalry, right? Jim and I are historians with football, and the 10-year war with Schembechler, Woody Hayes, and to come into that and inherit that, rivalry. Can you talk about, the ups and downs with that?
Yeah, I mean, that game
really must be. You guys have to hate each other.
Yeah, you live, breathe, and die that game every year. I mean, that game's in your head 365. You see it every morning. You hear it every day. It's something that's preached about. And obviously, I had a rough 2 years in the game and wasn't able to pull out a win. But it was something that you lived every single moment of every single day. I don't think there's a day that went by that you didn't think about it, didn't see it, and didn't feel it. And that to me still is one of the greatest rivalries I've ever seen in sports.
Oh, absolutely.
And Luke, when you talk about that rivalry, did this ever cross your mind to say, I can't leave this university until I have a Michigan win under my belt?
Yeah, I mean, it crossed my mind. I wish I probably could have made it happen, but it's definitely crossed my mind before. And it's tough not being able to have that notch on my belt loop.
That's great.
All right, though.
So listen, Luke, you played with, you were the center. Describe for us the relationship you had with C.J. Stroud, who's a Heisman finalist, and how'd that relationship develop? And I'm assuming it's going to be a lifelong friendship for you.
Yeah, no, I think that relationship with CJ is something he actually described it one time in an interview as he's the president, I'm the vice president. And I love that. I think that's a great way to describe it, especially on the field. He kind of has final say with everything, and I kind of just make my thoughts and what I think we should do. And he has final says. Obviously, he can see more of the field than I can from where he's standing at. It's all about perspective there. So that's kind of our relationship, I like to say. And for us, I mean, when we came in as freshmen, we're from two polar opposite sides of the country. He's from the West Coast in California. I'm from the East Coast, right outside New York City. So we butted heads early, and like any good relationship, you need to butt heads a little bit to kind of make growth with each other. And I think this past year we really came together, and it was so much easier to communicate on the field. Our relationship built off the field, and it made things a lot smoother for both of us.
That's awesome. Hey Luke, talk to us a little bit about this transition and the decision that you were ready to move to that next level, and what's it been like, and what's it going to be like leading up to the draft in April?
Yeah, for me, leading up to the decision, really, there wasn't a bad decision. I mean, either I went back to school for another year or I went to the NFL. And I think if you're looking at the grand scheme of life and things, those are two pretty good decisions to be in the middle of. Right. So even though it was a tough decision to make, it just came down to whether I felt ready enough and that I could compete at the highest level. And I did. So I made my decision to leave school and start preparing for the NFL draft. And right now I'm down in Florida. Doing combine training and learning how to sprint, run, how to perfect certain drills. I mean, it's kind of like just have to be able to go into Indy and at the combine and show my athleticism and the things that I think I can do really well. So right now I train twice a day and do field work, board work, all that kind of things at night. And that's just my daily schedule. And I love it. I get to focus on the thing I love in football. And I mean, this is just the dreams coming true now.
And you can't do this alone. I would like to ask you, who have been the most influential people in your life to help guide you through this transition from college football player on the grandest of stages to moving to that next level and being, one of the select few to be able to make it in the NFL?
Yeah, I think there's been, I mean, my mom always says it took a village. And for me, there's a ton of people I could sit here and list for hours and hours. And But my parents, especially my mom and my dad, were huge in this whole transition and this decision-making process, backing me with whatever decisions I wanted to make, and believing in me full-heartedly. And the other coaches, a lot of my teammates at Ohio State believing in me, and no matter what, were behind me and had my back. So I think there's been a bunch of people that really have been able to kind of make this decision process a lot easier for me, because I know they love me no matter what.
And they absolutely do. And listen, we're going to let our fans know that your father and I and my brother Steve here, and there's a picture of your dad. Can you see that?
Yeah, that's actually my my one call contact saver for him. Yeah, right there on the field.
That's Thanksgiving Day, 1980. And listen,
Catholic,
I
right?
guess the old saying is the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. But your father was one of the best athletes and football players Steve and I ever played with, and
Wow.
we're very excited for you and for your dad.
Thank you.
You see it through that ball, it's perfect. You see the extension of your father. That was the coldest game. That was the coldest game we ever played at St. Joe's. And in that play in particular, it was like 50-yard pass. He got tackled he caught it, fell down on the 4, but the scoreboard said 0-0. We won that game 7-6. Yeah, wow. You know the rivalry of Joe's and all that.
Yeah, all those teams.
What a fond memory. And I want to echo what Jim said. Your father was just a complete warrior, and we know. The fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. We can't be happy.
That's a huge compliment.
What are you tipping in now? So what are you you're working on everything? Is there a certain weight you want to go in?
Yeah, I mean, be a little lighter, help me run a little faster. I'm about 302 right now, 303, plus or minus 2 pounds, given what I'm eating or drinking that day. But yeah, I'm in that kind of 300, 305 range. So yeah, it's kind of where I want to be, over 300, but a little under 305.
Now, have you thought about, get drafted? But now I'm a Cowboy fan for the record. But have you thought about snapping Aaron Rodgers in New York and Rodgers going to your ex-teammate, Garrett Wilson?
Yeah, listen, I grew up
a Super Bowl back in New York.
I grew up a lifelong Jets fan, so that would really be a full circle moment. I named my dog actually growing up Sanchez after 2 AFC Championship games. I thought we had it, and so. Yeah, that would be a really full circle moment, and whoever the quarterback is there, it would be really exciting.
Hey, well, I'm a little selfish. I want you to wear a blue helmet, not a green helmet.
Either way,
I want a star on your helmet and a silver helmet.
That's funny.
But it'll be one of the teams is going to select you, man.
Yeah, I know. It's exciting. I think that's like the hardest part of this whole process. The first time in my life I never had a team, so right now it's kind of you're in limbo and waiting and seeing what's going to happen.
Well, that's great. And listen, let's get some personal. Let our audience know what does Luke Wypler do? What kind of hobbies do you like? And what do you do when you're not playing football?
For me, I love to golf. It's kind of a hobby I picked up out in Ohio. A lot of flat ground, a lot of area to play, and for me, that's something I really picked up in college. I've gotten pretty good. I'm a bogey golfer and try to hit the ball straight and just play where it is. So for me, golf's one of my big hobbies. I love fishing. Photography is another one, and I have a dog, and he's probably my main priority outside of football, and he's awesome. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's great. Hey, Luke, before you go, I know you're a pretty busy guy. Give us your picks for this weekend. You got the Eagles and the Niners, and you got the Bengals and the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be some great games this weekend. I think the 49ers might be able to upset and pull it off against Philadelphia. I think they should have too many weapons on the outside when you look at Ayuk, Kittle, Debo, McCaffrey. Just too many. You can't cover them all. It's impossible. So it's hard to kind of take one of those great ex-players right out of the game that easily. And then I think the Chiefs have a lot of I guess, they're 3-0 against Joe Burrow or 0-3 against Joe Burrow, and I know how that feeling is, and it's tough to sleep at night. I'm pretty sure they had a lot of juice this week going into this game. So depending on how healthy Patrick Mahomes is, I think the Chiefs are going to pull it off.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
I'm going with the Bengals and the Eagles, by the way. So
There
that's
we
just,
go. Listen, agree to disagree.
Oh, and listen, I wanted to make sure that you knew. Steve was bringing it up before, the picture of your father making that catch.
Yeah.
He threw him the ball.
He threw the ball. He was a quarterback. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, listen, Luke, we really appreciate you joining us, and
Yeah, no
hopefully we
problem.
can, once the draft comes around and you get settled in and know where you're going, we can't wait to.
We're your biggest fans, buddy.
Thank
We're
you,
rooting
guys.
for
I
you. We're going to
appreciate
be
it.
following you, and we know things are going to work out great for you. And we couldn't be prouder of you. We're
Thank
all
you.
Via Fidelis, St. Joe's. You know
Dear
that.
Fidelis.
And good luck, buddy. And we
Thank
can't
you, guys. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, pal.
We'll catch up to you soon, Luke. Be
Great.
good.
Have a great weekend, guys.
You too.
Be good.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, buddy.
There's
Man,
man.
that's the man.
How about that, Steve? What a nice young kid this
Right.
Luke Wypler is. And
He's smart. When I say he's smart, his grades are off the charts.
he's an academic All-American too.
Academic All-American. And, if Luke's not getting his degree this year, he's the type of kid that'll have it five minutes once he settles in. So that's the time in the offseason.
Absolutely.
What a great kid, great story. And again, the picture we showed in 1980 at St. Joe's, you can see the stark difference, right, of the picture of Luke at St. Joe's 30, 40 years ago, whatever the case may be. I'm proud, and I know you are, and Robert is,